with the Biden regime's targeting of the former President Donald Trump and the current state of the country under sleepy Joe Biden, the big question is, do Americans, if there's free and fair elections, want Biden for another presidential term? Well, Rasmussen Reports decided to poll voters and find out. Rasmussen Reports asked American voters, quote, if the 2024 presidential election were between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump, who would you vote for? 40% said Biden, but 47% said Donald Trump. 11% said some other candidate, and 2% weren't real sure. But what if you throw Florida Governor Ron DeSantis into the equation? Because let's be honest, it's any day now once he can, when that bill goes through, until he announces. Does that take Trump out of it? Rasmussen Reports also asked if the 2024 presidential election were between President Joe Biden, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who would you vote for? 38% said Joe Biden, 46% said Ron DeSantis, 12% said some other candidate, and 4% said they weren't sure. So let's bring in Rasmussen Reports head pollster Mark Mitchell to see where this puts us today, if the election were today, and what this means given the indictment of Trump, how is this helping him? And then secondly, okay, I think the real important question here, Mark Mitchell, is about the general, because I'm constantly seeing on my social media lots of pundits, lots of DeSantis supporters, and people who are saying they don't want Trump as a Republican nominee in 2024. They say the basis for their reasoning is that he can't win a general. So what say you based on the numbers?
Well, there's two embedded questions there. Can Trump win a general, and can DeSantis do better in a general? I think I have data that can point out very, very, very clearly that even though DeSantis has pretty good numbers among Republicans, I don't think he stands a chance compared to Trump. Now, whether Trump can win against Biden, you said it in the intro, it comes down to free and fair elections. What this should be perceived at, and the big headline here, this is essentially a really good tracking question. We've asked it 6 times now since the 2020 election, and it gives you a really specific look at what's going on in the dynamics between Biden and Trump. And the headline is that this is a massive turnaround for Trump. So we asked, starting in the fall of 2021, this Biden and Trump rematch, and Trump started crushing Biden after the Afghanistan crisis. He got up to a 13-point lead at one point. Now, there's no way that he would ever beat Biden by 13 points in an actual general election. But that showed you the amount of absolute distaste people had for Biden at the time, and the fact that Trump looked pretty good in comparison. Now, in 2022, things got a lot tighter as election season heated up, and it got down to Trump beating Biden 2 times by 46-40. But then coming into this February, we actually had Trump losing in one of these rematches. We had Biden winning over Trump 45-42%. And that tells you exactly that there were problems going on with Trump's campaign. And it was, where was he as part of the midterm election? People were upset with how that came out. And then his support of Kevin McCarthy, which I think was pretty unpopular. But now, since then, he's had some great campaign events. He had his appearance in Ohio, and he had this indictment. And we predicted it, as did many others, that this would blow up in the Democrats' face. And here we are with a 10-point reversal from February to have Trump now winning by the biggest margin that he's had since the fall of 2021. So now, look at what they've thrown at Trump since then, right? They're criminally indicting him. They invaded his home. The FBI is investigating his classified documents, and he's only more electable than he's been in almost 2 years. So, I think that's huge. Now, comparing it to DeSantis does better in some ways and worse in others. He leads Biden by 1 point more than Trump. And so somebody could say, see, well, that's a good reason to support DeSantis over Trump. But the fact remains that Trump gets 47% of the vote. DeSantis only gets 46%. And I think the most important thing this far out, looking at a tracking question like this, is how much of the electorate are you going to take? But now we compared the demographics that Trump did well in versus the demographics that DeSantis did well in. And once you start to look at those, you can see that DeSantis' support is coming from some pretty sketchy places. His biggest demographics that he has an advantage over Trump are in Biden somewhat disapproves, which blow with the wind, incomes over 200K, which when push comes to shove are probably going to vote more left than they say, black voters, and 18 to 39-year-olds. So those are just not, standout Republican strongholds that DeSantis has an edge over Trump with. They're probably going to go Democrat. And so once again, to me, we know from a primary perspective, we talk with you that Trump is leading pretty decisively. But even in the general election, because of these internals, I think that Trump has a better shot than DeSantis at this juncture, too. And of course, that's before he's had the full force of negative corporate media thrown at him.
Yeah, that's some really important context you put with that as far as the demographics related to the DeSantis question. Look, we're going to be looking a lot more at this as it goes along. It'll be interesting to see if DeSantis gets a bump when he officially announces, if that makes a difference. The machinery is working behind the scenes to prepare for that. So, that's already pretty much in motion. So we'll see how that affects it.
Yeah, he'll get a bump, but the fact remains that most people think he's running, and Trump leads among Republicans over DeSantis by 4 points against Biden.
Yeah, this is very interesting, and especially for all the kind of chatter you see on social media, it kind of puts it in context. You should go through and just post this on everybody that's saying that and see how they respond to it. It's good to see you, Mark Mitchell.
I only have so much time in the day, but if your viewers want to retweet our YouTube story, it'd be
that's true.
Yeah.